What if I told you the most powerful way to make a man addicted to you isn't by what you say, but by what you don't say? Most women think constant communication keeps him hooked, but the truth is silence, when used correctly, pulls him in like nothing else. In this video, I'm going to reveal 7 silence rules that make him chase you, think about you non-stop, and invest in you more deeply. And once you master these, he'll feel a kind of pull toward you that words could never create. If you want to learn how to master attraction with simple but powerful shifts like these, make sure you hit that like button right now, because this next rule might be the one that changes the entire game for you. Why do the women who speak the least often make men the most obsessed? What if I told you that almost everything you've been taught about keeping a man's interest is actually wrong? The truth is, silence isn't just golden. In relationships, it's magnetic. In a world where people are always texting, always explaining, always trying to be heard, the woman who knows when not to talk becomes unforgettable. This isn't about playing games, it's about strength, your strength. Because when you know how to use silence wisely, everything changes. You stop chasing and start being chased. You stop begging for his attention and instead make him crave yours. You've probably experienced this, texting him first thing in the morning, explaining your feelings in detail so he won't get you wrong, being available every time he wanted to talk because you were scared he might lose interest. But instead of making him want you more, it made him take you for granted. He got too comfortable, he stopped trying, and you felt that shift, that moment when you realized his effort was gone, because deep down he knew you would always be there. Why did this happen? Because attraction isn't built through endless communication. It's built through space, through mystery, through the things left unsaid. In the next few minutes, I'll show you 7 silence rules that will make him think about you constantly, even when you're not with him. These aren't tricks to confuse him. They are based on how men's minds truly work. And once you learn them, you'll never feel desperate for his attention again. So if you're ready to stop over-giving, stop over-explaining, and start living with that quiet confidence that drives men crazy, stay with me. Silence is not weakness, it's your hidden weapon. Rule number 1, keep him wondering. If there's one thing that makes a man think about you long after you're gone, it's mystery. And mystery begins with holding back on some details. When you're always telling him exactly how you feel, what you're doing, where you are, you take away the unknown. Once there's nothing for him to figure out, his thoughts about you fade. And when a man stops thinking about you, he starts losing interest. Mystery is what makes his mind restless. It's the not knowing that draws him in. It's the empty spaces in what you share that he keeps trying to fill. It's the silence when he expects you to talk that leaves him asking, what's on her mind? Does she like me? Did I do something wrong? Why isn't she saying anything? And the moment those questions start, he's hooked. Many women believe closeness means sharing everything, but the real attraction, the real pull comes from sharing less, from letting him earn the right to know you instead of giving away your whole life story too soon. Nothing is more attractive than a woman who doesn't feel she has to explain every detail, a woman who doesn't rush to fill every quiet moment, a woman who can sit in silence and be totally comfortable with it. By keeping a little mystery, you create space, and space gives him the chance to step forward, to pursue you, to want to know more about who you are. Mystery isn't about lying or pretending. It's about knowing you don't owe him every thought in your head just because he's interested. You're not there to be an open book. You're there to be uncovered slowly by someone who proves he deserves it. This is where many women go wrong. They think silence means something is off. They panic when the conversation slows. They fill every pause with nervous chatter because they're afraid of how they'll be seen. But that energy pushes men away. It screams, please like me. Please tell me I'm enough. On the other hand, when you use silence wisely, when you pull back just enough for him to lean in, you send a completely different message. You say, I don't need to impress you. I'm here to see if you're worth my time. That is powerful. Mystery makes you a puzzle he wants to solve. a book he can't stop reading, and as long as you stay slightly out of reach, not cold but confident, he'll keep coming back. He'll replay your last conversation. He'll wonder what you meant by that pause, that smile, that look. Mystery keeps you on his mind, and that's how obsession begins. Never underestimate how powerful it is to hold back sometimes. Often the strongest message you can give is silence. Rule number 2, stop depending on his validation. Here's a truth most women don't like hearing. The less you need his approval, the more he'll want to give it to you. Not needing him isn't cold, it's magnetic. When a woman doesn't need a man to feel good about herself, she becomes nearly irresistible. Why? Because men can sense when you need them to react a certain way. They feel it when your happiness depends on how quickly they reply. They notice when your whole mood shifts depending on their attention, and the second they feel that pressure, they pull away. But when you no longer need his validation, when you stop caring so much about what he thinks, something changes. Suddenly, you're not hanging on every word, you're not overanalyzing his texts, you're not sitting by the phone, you're living your life, and that's attractive. Not needing his approval doesn't mean you don't care about him. It means you don't make him responsible for your self-worth. It means you're okay whether he gives you attention or not. It means your value isn't questioned every time he does or doesn't text you back. And here's the twist. The more you don't need his validation, the more he'll want to offer it. Men are wired to pursue, but they can only chase when there's something to chase. If you're always available, always giving more than you get, you've already done the work for him. But picture this, he texts you and you don't rush to respond. Not because you're playing a game, but because you're honestly busy. You don't overthink what to say. You don't stalk his social media. You don't read into every little word. You're calm, you're centered, you're fine either way. That kind of energy says something no words can. It says, I'm not here to perform for you. I'm not here to prove my worth. I'm here because I choose to be, not because I need to be. And when he feels that, he leans in harder. Confidence is rare. Most people crave constant approval. When you show up already whole, already happy in yourself, you stand out. Men want to chase, but only if they have the space to do it. If you're always emotionally available, always ready to give more than you get, you take away the very thing that creates desire. Not needing his approval sets natural boundaries. It tells him, I like you, but I don't depend on you. I'm interested, but I'm not desperate. I care for you, but I respect myself more. That level of self-respect is magnetic. Many women think love means trying harder when he pulls back. But what if the real attraction starts when you don't try at all? What if the most attractive move is being completely fine without him? When you stop giving your energy to those who don't value it, you naturally push away the wrong men and pull in the right ones. This is what makes a man obsessed. Not because you tricked him, but because you stopped needing him to prove your worth. Rule number 3, use pauses to drive him wild. Silence doesn't just create mystery, it builds tension. And tension is what keeps someone hooked, thinking of you, wanting more. Most women believe if they don't keep talking, if they don't fill every silence, he'll lose interest. But attraction doesn't work that way. The truth is the opposite. The pause, that calm, confident silence, is what makes him lean closer. When you talk endlessly without giving space, he doesn't get a chance to feel anything. Attraction isn't about constant words, it's about feelings, and those feelings grow in the quiet moments between words, in the pauses that make him wonder what's going on in your mind. Think about any unforgettable movie scene. It's rarely the endless talking that sticks with you. It's the pause, the look, that quiet second where your imagination fills in what isn't said. That's how it works with men too. Silence builds tension. It makes your words heavier. When a woman speaks with purpose, with space between her thoughts, a man listens, not because she's louder, but because she's measured, making every word matter. This also applies to texting. Most people reply instantly, like it's automatic. He sends a message, you answer right away. But what happens when you wait? Not to play games, but because you're living your life and not waiting around for his texts. He feels that pause, that space, and in that gap, tension grows. He starts asking himself, did I say something wrong? Is she upset? Is she busy? Is she moving on? That's when desire grows, because the moment a man starts questioning, he's invested, and when he's invested, he chases. Tension also shows up when you're together. If you laugh at everything immediately, fill every silence, or keep reassuring him, you end up killing the spark too soon. But when you sit quietly, relaxed, letting moments breathe, it becomes electric. He feels something he can't name, but he knows he wants more. Women who understand this don't rush. They use pauses. They let him lean in. They let him work for their full attention. And it's in those quiet moments that he becomes hooked. So don't fear silence. Don't run from it. Own it. Use it. Because when you stop giving everything away instantly, you give him something far more valuable, the need to keep chasing you to uncover what's really on your mind. Now, rule 4 is about the most powerful time to stay silent, right after a fight. This one shifts the power completely. Silence after conflict is one of the strongest things a woman can do because it puts her back in control. Most people rush to fix things right after an argument. The moment there's tension, they rush to explain, defend, apologize, or patch things up. But that rush comes from fear, the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of him leaving, the fear of losing the bond. But here's the truth. When you react too quickly after a fight, especially while emotional, you give away your power. You're basically telling him he can hurt you, and you'll still be the one running after him to make peace. Going silent after conflict isn't about punishing him. It's about protecting yourself. When emotions run high, clear thinking runs low, and words spoken in anger usually make the situation worse. By choosing silence calmly, you send a clear message. I'm not going to fight for crumbs. I won't beg for respect. I'll protect my peace. Right now, talking to you isn't worth my energy. Men notice that. It forces them to sit with their actions instead of skipping past them like nothing happened. It creates space where they're left to face what they did without you jumping in to ease their guilt. And in that silence, his mind starts spinning. Did I push too far? Is she done with me? Did I ruin this? What is she thinking now? He's left with the weight of his own behavior. He wants to fix it, but he can't rush to you for comfort because you've stepped back. So now the responsibility shifts to him. He has to reflect. He has to reach out. He has to do the work. But here's the key. This silence isn't pettiness or revenge. It's self-respect. You're not ignoring him to hurt him. You're simply protecting yourself because you refuse to engage in chaos. A woman who values herself doesn't owe immediate forgiveness to someone who just disrespected her. She takes the time to think, to decide if and when she wants to engage again. This silence also reveals who he truly is. How does he handle your boundaries? Does he come back with a genuine apology and real effort to change? Does he reflect on his mistakes? Or does he try to guilt you, flip the blame, or accuse you of being dramatic? Your silence becomes a test. It shows you exactly what kind of man you're dealing with when he doesn't get his way instantly. You don't need to yell to be heard. You don't need to argue to prove your point. Sometimes the strongest impact you'll ever make is in what you don't say. Because staying silent after conflict isn't weakness, it's maturity. It shows you're not addicted to drama. It shows you care more about peace than being right. And it proves you won't keep teaching someone how to mistreat you. That energy lingers. It echoes louder than any argument ever could. Rule number 5, disappear. Sometimes absence says what words never could. I'm not always available. And when you use this right, your absence becomes one of your sharpest tools. Here's the part most women don't realize. Men don't crave you most when you're constantly there. They crave you when you're gone. That's when your value rises. That's when a man feels the empty space you once filled. It's not when you're texting him all the time, showing up every moment, or always being there the second he calls. It's when you quietly step back, when you disappear a little, that he begins to feel your absence. Pulling back with intention isn't the same as ghosting. It's not about vanishing to play games or trying to make him jealous. It's about changing the usual pattern he's gotten comfortable with, where he expects you to be constantly available, always replying quickly, always giving your energy without limits. The second you shift away from that routine, he feels it. It interrupts what he thought was normal and makes him notice that you aren't just background noise in his life. You're someone he actually looks forward to hearing from, and when you're not there, he starts to realize what's missing. This makes him curious. It stirs thoughts in his mind. It makes him long for the energy he may have begun to take for granted. But the key is doing this from a place of strength, not fear. Pulling back only works when it comes from confidence. It's not about withdrawing because you're scared he doesn't care. It's about stepping away because you're secure enough to be missed. You understand that your presence is valuable, that your energy is not something he gets by default whenever he wants. Let's face it, most men chase what isn't easily accessible. Not what you lack, but what they can't grab at any moment. And that's what your absence creates. Suddenly, those good morning messages aren't coming. Your name isn't lighting up his phone through the day. He's not hearing your laugh or catching little updates about your life, and that silence feels loud. He starts wondering, where is she? What's she up to? Who is she spending time with? Why hasn't she reached out? Did something happen? The best part is that you're not doing this to trick him. You're doing it because you've decided to put your focus back on yourself, your own life, your passions, and your growth. You stop living for his attention and start living for yourself. That shift changes everything. Instead of you staring at your phone waiting for his name to pop up, he's now the one checking his notifications. He's scrolling your profile, replaying your last chat in his head and imagining what your world looks like when he's not a part of it. And here's the thing, when the mind has no answers, it starts creating stories. It fills the gaps with imagination, building feelings that might not have existed before. Then when you do return, when you finally reach out or appear again, it feels more special, more important, more meaningful, because it wasn't constant. He couldn't always count on it. And that difference, that contrast between having you and missing you is what fuels obsession. But remember, the power of absence only works if you come back with the same calm, confident energy. You don't apologize for not being around. You don't give explanations about what you were doing or where you were. You just step back into his space like a woman who has her own full life and doesn't need to excuse herself for living it. That's what keeps him drawn in, not your constant availability, but the fact that you're not always available at all. And here's something else. Silence itself becomes a powerful test. Silence reveals things you can't see when you're always talking, always giving, always chasing. It shows you who someone really is when they don't get their way right away. It reveals how they act when they aren't showered with your attention, your praise, your emotional energy. And more importantly, it shows you what you're willing to accept in those uncertain spaces. When you go quiet, not out of anger, but with intention, you shift everything. You're no longer reacting or rushing to fix or explain. You're observing. You're letting him show his real self without you steering the situation. And in that quiet, the truth always comes forward. Some people will panic the second you step back. They'll guilt trip you, push you, or manipulate you into giving them your attention again. They'll make you feel wrong for needing space or for not being instantly available. Others will simply fade away, showing you they were only there because of what you were giving, not because of who you are. They'll go find someone easier, someone who doesn't challenge them, someone who doesn't make them prove anything, but the ones who truly value you will act differently. They'll approach with care, not desperation. They'll reach out because they see your worth, not because they want to control you. They won't create chaos just to grab your focus. They'll come to you with honesty and respect. That's the gift of silence. It mirrors their emotional depth or lack of it, but it also reflects your own boundaries and self-respect. Because a woman who understands her value doesn't beg for answers. She doesn't chase for clarity. She doesn't rush to fix what feels uneasy. She allows space. She observes. She lets people reveal themselves in the quiet instead of trying to control the story. And this is where the real challenge lies, because silence isn't always easy. It will test every part of you that craves reassurance, that wants to know exactly what's happening, that longs to control how he perceives you. But when you hold the silence, when you remain steady in the unknown, you grow stronger. You start to see who truly fits your energy and who was only using it when it was convenient. The truth is, some people only stay when you're overgiving, explaining, fixing, and making life easier for them. Your silence removes that cushion. It says, "This is me as I am." Is that enough? Will you still show up when I'm not doing all the extra work? And if the answer is no, if they vanish when you stop pouring everything in, that's not a loss for you. That's a gift of protection. Silence becomes your filter. Instead of fearing rejection, you recognize it as redirection, away from people who were never meant to stay. When you stop chasing and instead watch what happens in the quiet, you gain clarity. You see if he steps forward or fades away. You see if he respects your energy or just the benefits you gave him. That's where your standards rise higher. That's where you learn to guard your energy more carefully. That's where your peace becomes the priority. And when that happens, when silence turns into your ally instead of your enemy, you transform. You're no longer a woman who simply attracts attention. You become a woman who naturally commands respect. You stop fearing the gaps. You stop rushing to fill every silence with explanations, texts, or words. You begin to trust that your presence speaks louder than any desperate attempt to prove yourself. You realize that often stepping back draws people closer more than chasing ever could. You finally see that your energy is priceless and not everyone deserves access to it. This is the shift, when silence isn't just a tactic, but part of who you are, a natural way of living. You're comfortable with your own thoughts, your own company, your own presence. Your silence isn't cold or distant. It's powerful and grounded. It comes from a deep knowing that you don't need to over-explain or perform to hold your value. That kind of silence is magnetic. It doesn't push people away. It draws the right ones closer while clearing away the wrong ones. And that is the real strength. You don't have to be switched on all the time to be loved. Once you reach this stage, men don't just notice you, they become deeply drawn to you, because true, calm confidence in a world full of noise is rare. A woman who can sit in silence with ease, who doesn't need constant reassurance, who knows when to engage and when to step back, carries a magnetic energy. The surprising part is this: the moment you stop trying so hard to be heard, that's when people actually start listening. The moment you stop chasing after connection, the right connections begin to seek you. The moment you stop giving away your time and energy without limits, they suddenly become valuable to the ones who truly appreciate them. This final principle is all about trust. Trusting that the right man will never run from your silence. He will respect it, he will lean into it, he will want to earn the chance to understand what goes on in those quiet moments when you're simply being yourself. He will recognize that your silence is not rejection, it's a choice. You are choosing when to lean in and when to step back. You are choosing depth instead of surface level chatter. You are choosing quality instead of empty quantity. And because he sees this, he will rise to meet that standard. He will know he is dealing with a woman who values herself and isn't afraid to protect her peace.